So perfect. Thank you, Hershey. So I just wanted to say thank you guys all for joining us tonight. We're super stoked to have you guys here. And it seems like lots of people are tuning into our pro tips of registering for our events and listening to the recordings the next day, which is definitely easy, especially if you're an East Coaster for some of these late nights. But thank you guys. My name is Anna. I'm actually a guide myself for Trek Travel. And tonight I have with me another famous guide for Trek Travel as well, Hershey. So I'm just going to thank him for coming on tonight as well and to run us through probably the best part of our event tonight, which is to actually talk about the trips. But I have to get us to that point, so bear with me up until then. But I just want to say that events like these are super fun when we get to pair with other bike shops and different folks along the way. So tonight we also have another special guest with us. His name is RJ from Trek Bicycle Roseville out in California. So I just want to invite RJ on real quick, just to kind of say a quick hello and kind of maybe give us a an outlook of where you're looking to travel with Trek Travel pretty soon.
How's it going? My name is RJ. I'm the store manager in Roseville, California. I love, oh my God, I love bikes. I think it's freaking amazing that we get on bikes and feel freedom and have so much fun. And I have never seen anybody mad on a bike. So that's what I love about bikes. You know, for us, it's just to get people out to these events because Trek Travel is amazing. What they do is first class. And we just can't wait to see you guys. We are looking at the Bryce Zion one. So I'm glad to see the two people on there. So we'll look to meet you guys pretty soon. So.
Hey, RJ, real quick, in case we have anybody who joined us and is local, will you tell them about your event discount from tonight?
Yes. So you in Kansas and you in North Carolina, if you just want to take a trip to Roseville, we'll give you 35% off when you get here. Help you with your flight costs back when you go there. But if you're local and you're coming into Roseville, California, you say you're a Trek Travel, you're looking at the Bryce Zion trip, we will give you 35% off. We also have a ride and wrench every second Saturday of every month. People are doing like a meet and greet from there with people that go on the trip, as well as teaching about the bike and also helping you with your gear for the event coming up. So,
thanks.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, RJ. We're super excited to have you guys on tonight. All right. We are going to move forward with just a couple of Zoom tips since tonight is a virtual event for us. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up, if you guys were to scroll over your screen while we're going through this presentation, you're able to see a menu bar along the bottom. And on that menu bar, you'll have the option to mute your mic, turn on and off your video. You'll also have the option to open a chat box, which is really helpful because we'll be doing a couple of trivia questions tonight to test your guys' knowledge and to make sure you guys are here sticking with us. So if you can use that chat box to answer those questions, that would be awesome. And then feel free, if at any time during the presentation a question pops into your mind, feel free to just throw it in the chat box. Hershey and I will be going through and answering questions as we can. And if we don't get to them during the presentation, or if we think it's good to highlight and just kind of talk about a little bit more, we can come back to it at the end at our Q&A time. So at this point, I am going to ask everyone if you wouldn't mind muting your microphone so we don't have any gurgling sound in the background, and then turning off your cameras, and we will get started. All right. So at Trek Travel, we typically begin each day with a route talk. So you can have an idea of where we're going that day and what you can expect to see. So on this slide, we'll kind of walk you through what Trek Travel is, who we actually are, and then we'll go into why we think traveling with us is the best and kind of talk about what sets us apart from our competitors. And then we'll finally get into what you guys are all most interested about tonight, which is our trip spotlight. We have two trips that we're highlighting tonight, our Bryce and Zion and our Asheville to Brevard trip out in North Carolina as well. To round things out, we'll kind of talk about how to book a trip with us. There's multiple different ways. And then we'll end things tonight with a quick Q&A section. So if that sounds good to you, we'll go ahead and dive right into about Trek Travel and who we are. But before we kind of get into that, we want to show you this fun little video from our very own president, Tanya Burke, to talk about, oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead a little too much. Oh, no, that is right. we want to show you this video from our very own Tanya Burke about why truck travel, who we are, and just to kind of give you a little slice and dice about the flavor of traveling with us.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests. And they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
Amazing. I love that video, no matter how many times I see it. It just, yeah, it gives me kind of the goosebumps to to go back and see that video time and time again, just because that's kind of the reason I became a guide in the first place. And it really is true, and how we try to be the best company out there, and we really do believe that we are, in the terms of cycling vacations. So on that note, we have been running cycling trips for over 20 years at this point, and we have won tons of awards for them as we go. We take real pride in being voted one of the top vacation tour companies time and time again by our guests and our partners that we work with. So that also includes being awarded Travel and Leisure's Best for 2021 and 2022 top tour companies. So we hope you can be a part of our journey to get that same award for 2023 going into this year. Now, we'll talk a little bit about how we actually make that magic happen. Tanya kind of touched on some of the touch points already, and kind of how we set ourselves apart from other tour companies. At Trek Travel, we kind of call it our secret sauce. And so she kind of touched on it already, where it's just kind of our guides, our trip design, the hotels that we stay at, the food that we incorporate into these trips, and all the tiny little aspects in between to make it what it is. The biggest thing that sets us apart from our competitors that we love to talk about are our bikes. So one reason that we brought you here tonight is because you love to ride your bike, And so we are super proud to announce that we just launched our brand new Trek Domani SL7 road bike on all of our road trips this year. This is a huge upgrade for us. Our already amazing fleet just got another turnover, and it just keeps getting better and better. So we're super excited to offer these on all of our trips in 2023. And we're very excited for you guys to test them out for yourself. We not only do we also offer amazing road bikes, but we also have e-bike options. The one that you see here is our Verve 3 Plus, and it's our electric pedal assist bike. This bike has kind of more of an upright look. As you can see, it kind of has crossbars, a low step through frame to make it easier to mount and dismount, and super comfortable for you to ride all day long. Our second e-bike option that we have available in not all of our locations, but many of them, is our brand new Domani Plus SLR7. And that's what's pictured here on your screen. And as you can see, it looks exactly like our road bike. You can barely even tell that it's an e-bike. It makes very little noise. The battery is completely seamless into the system. And they're truly incredible bikes that we're super excited to have this year. Now, if anyone's considering whether or not they should ride an e-bike or a road bike for one of our trips, we highly advise that you guys check out or visit your local Trek dealer or just a local Trek shop and test out some of these bikes and see what is best for you. The people in there are more than happy to make sure that you choose the right option for your trip to make sure you make it the vacation of a lifetime that we want you to have. Now, on the subject of e-bikes, we have our first trivia question coming up. So if I can ask everyone to open up your chat boxes, and we'll dive into our first question of the night. This is kind of a tricky one. How much does the Trek Domani SLR7 Plus weigh? So this is our e-bike. How much does the e-bike weigh? Now, we love to offer our e-bikes because it helps more people get on bikes, and we're super proud to be able to offer these kind of new e-bikes in order to get people to ride longer, faster, and farther than ever before. I recently just got both of my parents' e-bikes, and they are loving it, and it's super fun to be able to have them be able to go out and ride with me right out there on the road. And then they get to laugh at how they beat me up the hills, and they have to wait for me at the top. But it's super fun. And I've been able to personally test out one of these new Domani Pluses, and they are incredible. Amazing. All right. We've got lots of answers coming into the chat box. And it looks like we have a few people who have gotten it right as well. All right. So the correct answer is A, 26.9 pounds, just under 27 pounds, which is crazy to think about for an e-bike because the Domanis themselves weigh about 18 pounds. So it's only about like 11 pounds heavier or 9 pounds heavier, if that's right, if my math checks out. All right. Now we'll move into the next section of tonight's event, which is talking about our rider levels. So at Trek Travel, we classify our riders into 4 different categories: leisure, recreational, active, and avid. As far as our leisure trips, our level 1 trips, as you can see, average about 15 to 35 miles a day and spend about an hour to 2 hours on a bike. Now, unfortunately, we actually do not have any level 1 trips on our website this year. However, the reason we stress e-bikes so much is because many of our level 2 options, such as the one pictured here, which is Arizona, is a great option for a level 1 rider if they're looking to opt for an e-bike. They're totally approachable, and your guides will make sure that you have an amazing time, no matter how much time you typically spend on the saddle. As far as our level 2 trips, as you can see, we kind of bump up the mileage and the riding time for the average rider. Some of our great level 2 trips are Puglia, which is what's pictured here, one of our most popular European trips, as well as our Zion long weekend trip, which we can touch on in a little bit. For level 3, this is probably our most common level trip out there. Pictured here is our Tuscany trip. Other level 3 trips include our Asheville to Brevard in the United States, as well as Crater Lake as well. And then level 4 is kind of our top level, our most advanced riders who are looking to spend about 5+ hours on the bike. These are our classic climb series out in Europe, our cross-country trip across the United States, across Italy, all of those kind of intense trips that kind of involve you to be on your bike all day long, also like our ride camps. So these are our level 4 avid trips. Now, not all of our level 4 trips are this intense, but these are trips where you'll find the greatest number of miles and or elevation gain. And I do want to note that a lot of our level 4 trips do not offer e-bike options as well, just due to the way that those trips are run. Now, let's move into what is included on a Trek travel trip. So when you book with us, a lot of people question, what am I actually paying for? So this is a long list of some of the things that are included for you guys, including all of your hotels, your fabulous guides, all of your breakfast, most of your lunches and dinners, as well as your world-class bike and all the components that go along with that, your Garmin GPS, helmet, flat pack, everything that you need to make sure that you're out there safely, your transportation, all of the good things. The best thing that's included that many of our guests love is our support van and all of the snacks that come out of that support van, to make sure that you have everything that you need out there on the ride with you and nothing that you don't. All right, so that does not leave too much for what is not included on the trip, but here is a short list of those things, such as your airfare and transportation to and from the trip start and end destination. Lodging before and after the trip is also not included, but we'll take care of you from the start to the end. Anything that you personally buy on the trip, as well as some of your meals. So we do love to offer our guests an evening out. The number of meals out will depend on the type of trip that you're actually on, but we like to invite you all to enjoy the local cuisine at your own leisure and kind of have some off time on your own to be able to enjoy the destinations that we take you to. And then as well as your gratuity for the Trek travel guides as well is not included. All right, let's open those chat boxes one more time and get one more trivia question going before we dive into the best part of the night. And this question is, what year was Trek Travel founded? And now I just love to point out this picture that is also on the slide that you see here. And this is our Canadian Rockies trip. This is such a magical region, and we are super excited to be able to launch this as a new trip this year. It's actually a trip that we had in the past and has been reworked, and we are now launching it as a brand new trip, as there's been quite a few changes to make it what it is today and to make it as good as we possibly can. So if anyone's ever interested in going up to Canada, this is a great option for you guys. It kind of just reminds me of Glacier National Park, which is a trip that I got to run last year. All right, questions are coming in. So what year was Trek Travel founded? The answer is D, 2002. So if anyone was paying attention too much in the beginning, we have been doing this for over 20 years, and we got to celebrate our 20th anniversary last year, which is super exciting. So thank you all for being a part of that journey, whether this is your first time interacting with Trek Travel or whether this is your 1,000,000th. We're super excited for you guys to be checking us out. Now, we finally made it to the best component of tonight, and arguably the most important, where we get to actually dive into those featured trips that we were telling you guys about. So we're really excited for everything that this year holds for us, as we continue to pedal our way through 2023, exploring all of our new destinations and all of our thrills and memory making that comes along the way from seeing it all by the seat of a bike. So to run you through these two amazing trips tonight, I'm going to pass it off to the incredible guide himself, who spends his time either cycling the roads or shredding the mountains of Aspen, Colorado. Welcome to the floor, Hershey. I will let you take it away.
Awesome. Anna, thank you so much for that introduction. And these two trips tonight are fantastic. And I think one of the things that I'm most excited about to share with everybody is that you and I met on the Bryce to Zion trip, was that 2 or 3 years ago? So it's cool. But both of these trips are fantastic. And instead of me saying how fantastic they are, well, let's jump in and start talking. Well, let me share with you some great information. So first, I'd like to welcome you to our Bryce to Zion cycling tour. Our literature says this book is a voyage of the senses. And I'll just say this trip, in my opinion, it's incredible. If you've ever wanted to cycle through the desert, see amazing red rock canyons and cycle through them, see towering sandstone cliffs. If you've read anything by Edward Abbey and about the desert solitude, it is all here. And we take you to 2 amazing parks. We take you into Bryce, we take you into Zion, but there's so much more about it. It's 6 days, 5 nights. This trip is also one of our oldest running trips, and for good reason. And when you're here, you're going to understand why. Now, if you're thinking 6 days and 5 nights might be a little challenging to get out, have no fear and do not worry. We offer an amazing 4-day trip that just focuses on Zion. And I would say it's 4 amazing days. Like, if you've traveled on the airlines, they would say like 3 amazing days or 4 amazing days in the city. Well, Zion and our 4-day trip is 4 amazing days in Zion National Park. Now, the cycling on this trip is absolutely spectacular. Some trips, you go on the trip and they're like, today, day 4 is our, ride to tour. Well, guess what? Every day on this trip is incredible. And Anna and I can definitely share with you some of our highlights. We average 34 miles per day with just over 2,500 feet of climbing, but like all of our trips, and we offer a short option every day. We offer the today's ride, and then we also have an avid option. So if you want to do more riding or less riding, we can definitely accommodate you. If you're thinking, Hershey, what is the climb to tour? It happens on day 3. We ride to the highest point of the trip, the highest point in Bryce National Park, and we get up to just over 9,000 feet. This day will give you 41 miles and 3,300 feet of climbing. And the avid option, well, that gives you 46 miles and 500 feet more. So just shy of 4,000 feet of climbing. It's fantastic. Okay. Now, on day 2 of this trip, just to share another ride with you, we cycle the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, and you get to take in views of Hogsback Ridge. So day 1, we have this amazing ride on the Bird Trail. If we see 2 or 3 other cars on this day, it will be a miracle. This day, when we go on Hogsback Ridge, it's like you're on this beautiful paved road that you can see here. And a picture doesn't do it justice because the views go for 360. And I know you've all made pasta before. So what I want you to think how this road is, make pasta, grab out the wet noodle, throw it against the wall, and however it sticks on the wall, that's how this road weaves and winds on top of the cliff. It's absolutely magnificent. And it's one of those rides where you're like, I could just do that multiple times and it doesn't get old. So fantastic rides every day. So much more to talk about the riding. Now, day 3, we stay in 3 unique hotels on this trip. Each one is different. Each one has a unique flair to it. And if you have questions about the hotels, we can definitely answer them at the end of the presentation. However, I just want to highlight my favorite hotel on this trip, and that's Flanagan's Inn. It's modern, it's sophisticated, it's right at the footsteps of Zion National Park. They have a full service spa that does hot stone massages, very sports recovery, deep tissue. Why? Because near the end of the trip, you definitely want to grab a good massage. But also this pool is just, this hotel has a saltwater pool. They have a labyrinth where you can walk around. And at night, it's quiet. And in the morning, the cliffs that you see around us are just absolutely stunning. And the best part is it's footsteps away from some fantastic restaurants. However, at night, it's very cool, very calm, and there's hardly any traffic at all. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And in this slide here, this is up at Flanagan's, and you can see the fence for the pool, but you can also see some of those red rock cliffs standing out behind it. Now, cycling is amazing, and a lot of our trips are all about the cycling, but some of our trips are what I would say are our multi-sport trips. Bryce to Zion, or if you do the 4-day Zion, it does not disappoint because some places you can only see by foot. And if you're looking at this photo and going, I'd like to ride up that, you definitely don't want to ride your bike up this, though you may. However, this is a hike up to the famous Angel's Landing. It's fantastic. And on day 5, you have options if you want to do this option, or if you want to hike through the Narrows, which is a slot canyon with water, and it's another cool experience. Now, on day 4 in the morning, I'd be remiss if I did not share more with you about this. However, day 4, we take you hiking in Bryce Canyon National Park. If you're wondering what a hoodoo is, well, you are looking at them. They're sometimes called a tent rock or a fairy chimney or an earth pyramid. It's these tall spires of rocks that you see in this picture right here. We'll take you on a few different hikes or let you choose your own adventure in the morning. However, one of the most famous ones is what you're looking at. Any Marvel fans out there, I think they stole this from Norwegian or Scandinavian mythology, but you are looking at Thor's hammer. And this photo I think is fantastic. However, to see it in real life, either early in the morning or late in the evening, the sunsets are simply incredible. Now, there is great food. And if you and I are on the same page, you will know that you ride your bike so you can eat amazing food. I mean, let's be honest. One of our favorite restaurants, and Hannah will tell you this is probably one of her favorites, as it is mine, and it's Hell's Backbone Grill. Jen and Blake are the 2 chefs. They put this like Buddhist twist to stuff where all the food, they grow it right around the restaurant. All the farming is safe type of farming. And it's fantastic. But this restaurant has won multiple James Beers Awards. And in 2017, they got Best Restaurant in Utah. So this place is awesome. And so if this sounds like an amazing destination to you, if you have more questions on the food and the riding, well, then we'll talk more about it after our next trip. Which brings us to our Asheville to Brevard bike tour. It is 6 days and 5 nights. And we also offer a 3-day trip along with a self-guided option in this area. But our main trip that we're going to discuss tonight is a 6-day, 5-night trip, just like the Bryce Zion trip. 3 words for this trip: climbing, adventure, and beer. So if climbing on your road bike sounds amazing, if having some great adventures sounds fantastic to you, and if you love beer, this is the trip for you. The Blue Ridge Mountains are definitely calling your name, and you will have one incredible experience cycling in this region. Now, if you're not able to travel with us, as I mentioned, we do offer a 3-day option and a 4-day self-guided bike tour. That's pretty cool. The Asheville to Brevard trip was designed with you, our level 3 riders in mind. Those are our active riders. We averaged 36 miles per day with about 2,600 feet of climbing per day. But as I've already mentioned, you can either ride more if you want, or you can ride less, depending on what you're looking for. So we always offer 3 options every single day. Now, the climb of the week takes place on day 3. We rack up 70 miles and more than 8,000 feet of climbing. So I'll just say that again. Day 3, the Avid option, is just over 70 miles and 8,000 feet of climbing, but you get to conquer Mount Mitchell, which sits at 6,684 feet above sea level. And you can see our 2 riders here. They are pretty darn happy, 1, that they've made it to the top, and 2, they get one epic descent on the way back down. So it's no secret, there are no flat sections on the beautiful Blue Ridge Parkway, but the road is incredible. The views, as you can only imagine here when the trees open up, are simply spectacular. And the slopes, sometimes they're gentle, sometimes they're punchy, but for the most part, they're pretty moderate. And it is by far a guest and guide favorite ride. Now, once we've reached the top of Mount Mitchell, we're going to descend all the way back down to the city of Asheville. It's known for its unique blend of culture, featuring a mix of adventure, I'd say fun type feel to it, and vibrancy. As we touched on earlier, Asheville was voted the best beer city USA 4 years in a row. And this is according to Bon Appetit magazine, not by Hershey, not by Anna. So Bon Appetit has named it Best Beer City USA. And Asheville is one of the best small cities to eat and drink in, and for good reason. The James Beard Award that we talked about that Hell's Backbone has won, along with many other awards. Well, in 2022, the James Beard Best Restaurant went to Chai Hani in Asheville. Another restaurant, Curat, won Best Restaurant Atmosphere. So if you're a foodie, going to Asheville definitely should be on that list, because they know how to do great food and have a great experience. Now, on this trip, unlike our Bryce Zion trip that sees 3 hotels, here we only have 2 hotels. And I'm going to focus on our first hotel tonight, but it is the Foundry Hotel. And it's all about the location, right? Location, location, location. Whether you are running a bike tour, you're living in the place you want to be at, or whatever, it's all about that location. And the Foundry Hotel for us, well, it's centrally located. It's an amazing hotel. The rooms are fantastic. The beds are great. And your footsteps, like literally you walk out the hotel door and the amazing restaurants are footsteps right in front of you. Our second home for the trip is called Pilot Cove. And if you're like, I love the city, I live in the city, I want to get in the country, have no fear. The second half of the trip, you're going to be in these amazing cabins in the Blue Ridge or Pisgah National Forest. You'll have your own hammock, you'll have a washer and dryer, and it is really like a luxury cabin in the middle of the forest, and quiet solitude will be all around you. Now, I've mentioned beer multiple times, and on this trip, we'll take you to what the locals call the Ale Trail because of the amount of breweries in the area. Also, just so you know, on another day, we take you to 2 different breweries on the same day. The Mills River Brewery, which is a small kind of local, small production. And then we contrast that with the Oscar Blues Brewery, which is a much bigger one. And definitely both are great spots to have a great pint of beer, sit back and allow your legs to rest after all the amazing riding you have been doing. Another way to see some of the different breweries in town, if you haven't gotten enough, is to go on a walking tour. But if you've already met your step goal count from riding the bike, well, then we recommend jumping on the historic beer trolley tour. This will definitely help you get from one stop to the next without stumbling too far along the way. Basically, you grab your ticket, you hop on, jump off at one brewery, go and have a pint, come back out, trolley comes back by, jump on again. And it's a great way to see and experience some of the cool little breweries and pubs in Asheville. Now, our Asheville to Brevard trip is perfect for those of you that love to ride, you love amazing food, and you really enjoy beer. But if you're thinking of, you want to do some other activities too, well, the fly fishing in this area is fantastic. They do have rock climbing. They also have some fantastic mountain biking as well. So in short, you have a ton of options for adventure on this trip. And I think the only question now is, Anna, where should we travel first? Should we head back to Bryce and Zion? Or do you think we should head back or to Asheville? And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
That's a hard question, Hershey. Having run both those trips, they're both incredible. But I don't know. I have a soft spot for Bryce and Zion. I just maybe it was because it was the first trip I ever ran, but man, oh man, do I love those red cliffs.
Me too. Me too.
But the Blue Ridge Parkway is also probably one of my top 3 favorite rides of all time. So I have to put that up there as well. Definitely can't go wrong. So thank you, Hershey, so much for running us through both of those exciting trips and all the details. You definitely got me excited to go back to either of those regions again. So now that you've heard all of the details about what these trips offer, the next steps for you guys would be to book a trip. So we'll kind of show you a little bit about some of the details on how to do that. So part of the booking process while you're planning your vacation is to find out the logistics of getting to and from those destinations that we travel to. So on the next slide, you'll see a screenshot of our website where we highlight the little section called travel details. If you click on that tab of any of the trips that you're interested in going to, we have outlined for you the best airports to fly in and out of, as well as some recommended hotels to stay in. Of course, we always recommend that you arrive at least one day in advance, if not more, just to help account for any travel delays. As we know, unfortunately, these days they're kind of inevitable. So just to kind of make sure that we're all set for those, definitely make sure you arrive at least one day in advance. Now, if you have any more questions about logistics specifically for any of our trips, we highly recommend that you reach out to our trip consultants to answer any of those. Now, for some of our events, I'm sure some of you guys maybe have found this event actually specifically on our website. But if not, we definitely want to make sure you guys know about this page. It's on trektravel.com/events, and you can see a whole list of all of our both virtual and in-person events coming up throughout the rest of the year. So definitely feel free to check that out. And maybe if you're local to some of the spots, definitely don't be shy and attend some of our in-person events. And then if you're interested in any of our any other trips that you see listed, feel free to drop into any of our virtual events, just like you did tonight. Now, a pro tip that I mentioned in the beginning is that if you're interested in just hearing about the trip spotlight, if you register for any of our events that you're interested in, the next morning after the event, you'll get an email from us kind of summarizing all of the event details, and as well as a recording of the event. So you can feel free to just get the recording in your email box the next morning and just fast forward and just listen to the trip details parts if that's what you're interested in. So definitely check that out. That is an option for you. Now, our 4 next action steps from here, the first of which is being that email that I just mentioned, kind of recapping all of our details. The second is to visit our website. If you've never played around with it, we definitely recommend you go in and kind of check out all the different trips that we have offered. We have different categories for all different sorts of trips. So definitely make sure you play around with the Trip Finder tool to kind of help figure out what is best for you. And then give us a call. If you're still considering or still wondering like what trip is best for me and you're maybe wavering between a few, definitely talk to our trip consultants. They're more than happy to answer any questions that you have about any of our given trips. Any questions, comments, and concerns can be directed to them, and they are more than happy to help you choose kind of what trip is best for you based on the information you can provide them. So they're super excited to talk to you. So feel free to give them a call anytime during the week. And then the last thing is the most exciting thing, which is to get ready for your trip. Preparation is part of the fun, and we definitely don't want to kind of breeze over that section, because it is some of the fun being able to actually ride your bike and getting all the gear that you even need for the trip. So on that note, I'm actually going to send it back over to RJ from Trek Bicycle Roseville to kind of run us through like, what exactly is it that we need to get us prepared for one of these trips? Like, what does maybe training look like, and what kind of gear should we have? So RJ, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Anna, so much. Awesome job. First of all, I think that's a great thing we should talk about. Looking for the trip, finding out what bikes is available on those trips, and then visiting your local shop. Every local shop is going to have this thing that you see behind me. It's a digital fit center. They're going to be able to fit you perfectly for one of those 2 bikes, exactly what you're riding on a trip. So if it's a Verve, they'll fit you for a Verve. If it's a Damani, they'll fit you for the Centimeter for Damani, perfect fit. That is the most important thing. If you're on the right bike, you're going to feel amazing. Your trip's going to be amazing. You are going to have just fun every single day. If it's not the right fit, you won't have a good time. And we don't want that to happen. We want you to have a good time. Next, look at your gearing. Look at your helmet. If your helmet is 5 years old or more, definitely come into a store and let us fit you for the right helmet. Clothing wise, if your clothing is your chamois are a little beat up and you need some more chamois, come on in. We just ended the Trek Fest, but I'm sure if you go visit your local store and you tell them that you're going to do a Trek travel, they'll do something to help you out. If you need some help from me, you can always call Trek Roseville. We'll help you out also. Some good things to start getting. We talked about elevation for the Zion trip. That's the one I'm looking at. So I would recommend that you start getting hydration and maybe some stair stepping in and some levels to getting your oxygen up, because it seems like you're going to go a little bit higher, like what Hershey said. And so that's some great things to do. Definitely learn about the bikes. If you do not have one of the bikes that they talked about, come into a Trek store. Let us talk to us about the Monty SL7, about the E version, about the Verves. Let us talk to you how to use them, the features, test ride them. We test ride it all day long. You can enjoy them test riding. Hey, if you like it so much, you can walk out with it, and you can already have a great bike before you even get on the trip. So that's some things. Looking at your gear from your shoes onto your chamois, onto your top, your helmet. If everything fits right and correctly, you will have a great trip. If something is off, you're definitely going to have something that's going to be nailing you. But come into your local store, your local Trek store. If you're in California, come here. If you're in North Carolina or in Kansas, fly here. We'll take care of you, and we'll have fun with you. So I think, anything else, Anna, did I miss?
No, that was awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I think you hit on a really good point too, of just like getting fitted for your bike. A lot of people don't necessarily, or they get like a little worried about that kind of aspect. And it's really nice. Your guides will work with you the first day on any trip to make sure that you're fitted perfectly. And there's always tweaks to be made throughout the week if there's any issues, or if you're feeling like you kind of want to change anything about it. So we'll definitely work with you, but the Trek stores help us and kind of set us up for success when it comes to that kind of stuff, and making sure that we get the right measurements to send in, so we can make sure that you're kind of fitted like right off the bat and you're feeling good and comfortable throughout the week. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, RJ. And thank you all again for joining us for this evening. So we'll kind of move into our last session of tonight, which is our Q&A session. Although I would be remiss if I didn't mention our trivia question winners for this evening. So we have 2 winners for tonight based on correct answers. So I want to congratulate Kelly Goss, congratulations, and Chris Mullen. So congrats to you too. And we will be in touch with you guys tomorrow about kind of what your prize looks like and when we'll be sending that out. So congratulations, you guys. And now we just kind of want to open up the floor. Feel free to turn on your mic and your camera if you're comfortable, and feel free to ask us anything. Otherwise, Hershey and I have some commonly asked questions that we'd be more than happy to address if there aren't any from the crowd. But let us hear it if you guys got them.
Or
No
feel
questions.
free to, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say no questions.
And you can also type them into the chat box if you prefer to do that.
Of course.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute my microphone. This is Tom. What about bringing our own pedals and helmet? Any issues with that? Can they be installed on the bikes we ride?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tom. That's a good common one too. So as far as bringing your own gear, first things first is we always recommend that if you have a saddle that you like to ride at home, bring it. It's very easy to install that on your bike. And we always say that your saddle is the most important aspect of your bike when it comes to riding it for the full week. So to make sure that you guys are ultimately comfortable, we always say it's not too hard to bring a saddle. As far as pedals go, we do offer both the Shimano Road clipless pedals as well as the Shimano SPD mountain pedals. And then we also offer flats and cages on top of that as well. So if there's anything else that you use, like speed plays or Garmin power pedals or something like that, we highly recommend that you bring those, and we are more than happy to install those on your bike. But if you have just a generic Shimano road or mountain bike pedals, you don't have to worry about bringing them, as we've got your back. Other gear, we do offer helmets, and we have the top of the line Bontrager Wave Cell helmets. So I know that those can be kind of bulky to travel with, especially if you're flying. So if you'd rather not bring it, we've got your back. If you'd prefer your own, feel free. And then as far as anything else that you want to bring, like any little bags for your bike or mounts or whatnot, we say feel free to bring it. It definitely doesn't hurt. If we can install it for you, we'd be more than happy to do that. So great question, Tom. Oh yeah, and then Hershey also mentioned, please bring your shoes. Definitely bring your shoes.
So can you touch a little bit on the elevation for riding in Bryce and Zion? And I know, and I looked at all the trip details, and I know that there's at points in time where it's like 8,000 and going to 6,000, and I live at 300 feet, and I've been to Tahoe, which I've checked the elevation and spent a week in Tahoe at 6,200 at North Tahoe, and went mountain biking up to like 81, but that was sort of at the end of the week. This is the trip I really want to do, but I'm a little apprehensive about just flying out and living at 8,000 or more feet, and I don't know how long it takes people to get accustomed to that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Kelly. And I would say that you're also not alone. Oh, Kelly, you mind if I ask you to mute your mic real quick?
Yep.
There we go. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely say that you're not alone in that regard. A lot of people have that worry. Hershey, do you have any pro tips on her concerns and her questions? Because I know we get that one a lot.
We do, Anna, we do it. And, feel free to jump in. But what I've noticed is typically when people come on the Bryce and Zion trip, they're able to do the ride. They do feel the elevation, but never are they like, I can't do this. It's more like it's noticeable, it's there. And as that week moves on, we start pretty much like at our highest point, and then we slowly work our way down. So as your body starts getting used to cycling every single day, you'll find your lungs are getting stronger, your legs are getting stronger. And truly by the end of the week, everybody's like, wow, that was great. And I will say your body also gives you a little window when you come into elevation and you haven't lived or you spend a lot of time up there. So at no point have I had a guess, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing where somebody's come on the trip and they feel like they can't do it because of the elevation. It's noticeable, but if they train to ride, it's no problem at all.
Totally. Yeah, I would totally echo that. And I guess people would always come back from that first ride and they'd say like they felt that added element, and you definitely feel tired at the end of that first day because of that. But yeah, it's definitely never stopped anyone from being able to do the rest of the ride. And by day 2, people kind of forget about it because day 2, the climbing isn't as intense, I would say. And so you definitely kind of fall into a groove on day 2, and it's kind of, nobody even really talks about it after that on that trip that I remember. But day 1, you'll definitely feel it. And the best thing about it too is that the van and the guides are out there to support you 100% of the time. So if there is ever a point where you're like, I just don't know, like, I don't know if I'm going to make it up that last climb, like the van is there to help support and to help give you the boost when you need it to make sure that you can ride the best ride that you want. But yeah, I would say after that first day, it's kind of smooth sailing for the Bryce and Zion trip. But you're definitely not alone, Kelly. So don't worry about that. We got another great question in the chat box from Chris. So Chris asked about our snacks. It looks like Hershey kind of touched on it already. But yeah, so it kind of depends on the guides, but I would say the number one thing is we always have peanut M&Ms. It's kind of like a standard at Trek Travel. And then we also offer tons of different bars, granola bars, Nutri-Grain bars. We also offer these awesome little Kate's bars. Maybe you've had them, maybe you've flown with was it Delta or American recently, and they have the little lemon ginger Kate's bars nowadays. So we also offer all of those on our trips, and then a wide variety of bars in that regard. Different types of nuts and trail mix and snacks and Cheez-Its and kind of pretzels and popcorn and whatever you can imagine. And then of course we always take requests from guests as well. So if anyone has a request within reason, we are usually more than happy to accommodate that. Some people are really adamant, like, I have to have applesauce on my ride. And it's like, we will get you those applesauce pouches if we can. So yeah, so if there's any special requests, we definitely love to hear those so we can make sure we have it for you. And yeah, post-ride snacks. Dang, Hershey, you already touched on it. Beer, obviously, wine, and all the goodies along with that.
Whiskey in some areas, gin in others. So, yeah.
Exactly. So great question, Chris. There's definitely no shortage of snacks, if that's what you're wondering.
Yeah, if you're somebody too that likes to ride with goo or cliff shots or shot blocks, we typically don't have ride stuff like that on the table, and that would be something that we would recommend that you bring with you. We also have Noon as well, and some people love it. It's a great hydration piece, but other people it doesn't work with them. So if there's an electrolyte that you like, you can let the guides know, but you may want to bring it with you, because I can tell you grocery stores in the middle of Utah can be a fun challenge.
Say almost non-existent.
Yeah. Yes.
It'd be a little tricky until we get back to Zion, really. So great question, Chris.
Yeah.
You cannot, yeah, you'll not go shy with food or drinks. Any other questions from anyone else? Well, I always like to point out too, you talked about Hell's Backbone Grill in Utah, and I would still say that to this day, it's probably one of my top favorite restaurants of all time. It's so good. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And as a testament to that restaurant, we met people week after week that would drive. It's like it's 4 hours from Salt Lake City, and they would drive down, have dinner, and then drive back to Salt Lake City in the same day. I was like, that's commitment to a good restaurant. All right. Tom asks, anything you'd recommend not bringing? Don't bring rocks in your backpack.
Weights, please do not bring weights. We've actually had guests do that. Literal dumbbells.
And then they never use them.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I've never gotten that.
You know, thinking about something to bring too, we do have Garmin 1030s. Anna touched on that earlier. But if you use a Wahoo, if let's say you have the Garmin power pedals and you have your own Garmin, we can easily put the GPX tracks onto your own Garmin or on your Wahoo, and then we can mount that to your handlebars. So, yeah, I think that's kind of it. But like, what not to bring?
Don't overpack.
Yeah,
I would say one thing not to bring is nothing equipment wise brand new. Break it in. Your shoes break in, your helmet break in, your chamois, just get it a little broken in just a little bit, because you don't want that first, day itches, or the first day your feet are sore or something like that, or your saddle is too rough. So break it all in. And also every store has something like this. So you can go in every single store and get a saddle sizer. So if you want to break in a saddle before you come and bring your saddle, it'll make so much of a difference. If you go get shoes and you want to go there, we got stuff for your shoes. So correct feet. And that's going to make the biggest difference in the world. Honestly, if you go there with big stuff that's fitted for you, it's going to be great. So.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Break it in. I like that.
yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, RJ. That was spot on and awesome. Definitely. I can't tell you how many times we've had a guest bring a brand new saddle on trip, only to by the second or third day go, I don't know if I can ride the rest of the week because this isn't the right saddle for me.
Yeah.
So,
But then
yeah.
good news is we have extra saddles to swap out and give it another try. Especially
Totally.
these ones on the new Domanis. That's probably like, yeah, one of the best stock saddles out there, I would say. Awesome. Any other questions? Burning questions?
I have a question about the bike and the sizing. When I was looking at it before, is it like when you sign up for the trip and it asks you your size of the bike? Excuse me. Like I know what size I ride an Amonda SL5. So, if I just sort of said the size of that, and, the stem modification kind of to shorten up the cockpit a little bit. Is that going to be enough to go by, or is it something that I really truly need to go to track and say, hey, I need to be fitted exactly for a Domani?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Kelly. I would say if you're riding a Trek Amanda already, then the sizing should be pretty comparable. I'm sure you would agree, RJ and Hershey. But if you have any questions about it all, it definitely doesn't hurt to go to a Trek shop beforehand, or just like a Trek dealer, and just ask. But if you're riding a Trek bike already and your sizing is good and you're comfortable and you've been riding it and it works for you, I would say that should translate pretty well. And then as far as little things like stem sizing and things like that, those are really easy for us to swap even mid-trip. So if you were to even give us a size and at some point you're like, this just like isn't right, because maybe the geometry of the Amanda versus the Domani is slightly different, we can always make little tweaks and whatnot to make it more comfortable for you. So that's a good question.
Great. Thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah. Anything you guys would add to that, RJ or Hershey?
I would just say do what RJ had mentioned earlier. And the best thing would be to go in to the shop, because the geometry between an Amanda, a Madone, and a Domani is just slightly different. And if you're close to RJ, his guys will take care of you and get you like that great, perfect fit, which maybe we just need to do a little tweak when you show up on trip. But that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and the same thing for me. Definitely the Madone, the Amanda, and Domani all have that slightly aggressive to relaxed aggressive geometry from the Domani to the Amanda. So definitely it's just a slightly off, like Hershey said, not really big, but you definitely want to sit on one and see where your positioning is at, and feel comfortable with it and stuff like that. So definitely you probably won't have that much of a difference, but if you're riding Amanda, you're going to be able to feel it just a little bit. So go to the Trek store out in North Carolina. Raleigh has some great ones. Holly Park, there's a great store. Go see Kelly. They're awesome in there. Matt, those guys are rock stars. If you're in that area, they will take care of you, Kelly. So
awesome.
Okay, thanks.
Sweet. And then Tom just asked in the chat as well, what saddle? And yeah, Hershey, you're so on it. I just you're so fast.
I'm like, while you're talking, I'm like Googling it real quick, and I just put a link in so you can put right on the saddle. But
yeah,
you can tell them what saddle it is.
Yeah, the Verse Comp is what we're riding on those, and they're great. I used to ride a Specialized saddle, and I've recently switched to the Verse Comp after riding the new Domani. I actually really love it. And I saddle shopped for 4 years trying to find a good one, and I tried this one and I'm obsessed with it. Now that's just me, that's not for everyone, but it's definitely a nice stock saddle if you're curious about it.
I just had one follow-up on that. When we go to sign up for the trip, when you go to sign up online, then you have to sort of fill out all the information about the bike. So if I want to sign up so that I make sure I get a spot on the trip, but I haven't gone to Trek yet, and can you tweak out whatever your bike sizes are after you signed up for the trip, or do you have to really do it right there when you register?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're full of them. Hershey, you want to take that one for us?
Yeah, the biggest thing, when you sign up for the trip, if you're not 100% sure on your bike size, that's totally okay. They're going to send a note back to you. And then as soon as you can, because you want to reserve your spot on the trip so you don't miss out. And then as soon as you're able to get into the Trek store, or let them know hey, I'm this size on the Domani SL7. I'll get you guys my measurement shortly. And then you can send an email in or call. Or if you're halfway through it and you decide you want to try a different bike, you can totally do that too. So there's definitely options. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
And I've had guests actually change their bike the week before the trip starts, or a few days before it. So, but the sooner you get in there, then the easier it is to make sure we have the right bike for you.
Right. Awesome. All right. I think that maybe wraps it up for us tonight, as we are a little bit over time, but once again, I just kind of want to thank you all for joining us virtually. Hershey and I had a great time with you guys tonight.
Yeah.
RJ, thank you so much again for helping this event be possible. So definitely, if you're ever out in the Roseville area, check them out in California.
That's right. And RJ, we can't wait to see you on a trip with us this fall.
We
Yeah.
will do. Hey, Hershey, can I just tell you something? You know
Yeah.
how cool your parents are for naming you Hershey? That's like one of the coolest names I've seen in a long time. So I just want to tell you that. That's awesome. So
Thanks,
tell your
man.
parents, good job.
I will. They just are in their late 70s now, so I'll let them know.
All right, you guys, thank you again. And hopefully we'll see all of you guys on a trip, and maybe we'll see you guys in Bryce and Zion at some point this year. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Join RJ, go to the shop and do a shop trip with RJ. So
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks,
thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Have a great evening.